Hello, everybody. I'm joined by Mike Lowe, Sportswriter of the Year from Maine. This is his fourth time winning. And Mike covers sports for the Press Herald in Maine. And he's covered the Little League World Series, the actual MLB World Series, Super Bowls, and even the 2008 Beijing Olympics. He's interviewed literally some of the greatest athletes of all time, including Tom Brady, Muhammad Ali, Michael Phelps. And again, like I said, this is his fourth time winning the award. So an incredible honor to be sitting here with him and able to ask him some questions. Congratulations again, and thank you, Mike.
Well, thank you, Sahil. It's quite an honor to be recognized by your peers like this. Every time I've won it, I've truly been humbled by the appreciation that they're showing.
That's amazing. So, Mike, my first question is because that resume is so impressive. I'm just reading that. I was just like mind blown. What was you know your favorite sporting event and your favorite interview? So sporting event to attend and cover, and favorite interview, like athlete
Oh
to
God,
interview.
man, you know what? There are. Hmm. All right. Well, let's start first off. The 2008 Beijing Olympics were life changing for me.
Mm,
Really. I mean, I get to see a whole different culture that I would never seen before. If I hadn't gone. I mean, I got to walk on the Great Wall of China. I mean, that to me, that was the most grueling physically thing I think I've ever done in my life. Yeah, it literally follows the contours, the topography of a mountain, and you go down 50 feet, and then you go up 200 feet, and then you go down 100 feet, and then back up 300 feet, and the
yeah,
steps aren't equal. One step will be 2 feet high, the next step will be 6 inches
yeah,
high. That was amazing. I went to the Forbidden City. I walked through that. It was I toured Beijing. The paper had a thing. Where's Mike today? Because when I went there, Maine I think had 7 athletes competing in that Olympics, and that was the most they've ever had at any single
wow,
Olympics game. And on days when they weren't competing, I would just stroll around Beijing, and I found, in the US, you go by a park, you have basketball courts or tennis courts, right?
right,
Beijing, table tennis,
wow,
table tennis courts. I mean, there was a stretch where 100 table tennis, ping pong tables is what we call them, in a
right.
row, and people playing on every one of them. It
That's
was
incredible.
simply amazing, and I made sure I went to the table tennis gold medal match that year just to see. It was simply amazing, a life altering experience. It truly was, and Maine came away with one, two, three gold medals, a couple
Amazing.
silver medals. Had a great stories to write there as well.
Yeah. Like I'm sure too, because like you said, like you've covered some incredible events domestically in the US, but being in a whole new country, in a whole new setting, that was probably like very, very eye-opening and a very cool experience.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Tried new foods and everything. Just meeting the people there, and my son got me a little book. Learn Chinese. A little book, and I just learned enough to have a couple of phrases that I could actually converse a little bit with some of
Right.
the people there, and it was fun. I did get lost and stranded there one day, but
Wow. That's
found my way back to the media center. So
that must have been a little frightening in the moment.
it was it
Yeah.
was.
And in terms of your favorite, like your favorite athlete interview, um,
That's really hard. I can't say. Tom Brady's great, but the guy who I really admire most of all the Patriots I ever interviewed was Matthew Slater, the
okay,
special teams player,
yeah,
one of the best in the league, a guy who really is he's grounded in his faith. He's a devout Christian, and I talked to him a lot of times about, well, how do you balance your faith with football, because football is an extremely violent sport,
right,
and he says, because this is what I do, this is my job, this is what I do, but I have great faith in myself that God will carry me through it. And he is one of the classiest individuals I've ever worked with in my life. I've had a lot of fun interviews. The Muhammad Ali interview was pretty cool, but that was in a setting where he was talking with students as well, so it was kind of like I wasn't a
Right.
one-on-one with him. Um, Paul Career, who went on to have a great NHL career. I covered him at the University of Maine his freshman year when he became the first freshman to win the Hobie Baker Award.
Wow.
And Michael Phelps, of course, is just he's phenomenal. His agent is actually from Maine, and that's
Wow.
how I got hooked up with him. Seth Westcott, one of the great Olympians from Maine, who won 2 gold medals in snowboard cross. Another guy who just the perspective that these people have is just so different from anything else. I
Right.
mean, because they give their entire lives to their sport, but they are also very balanced. Like Seth Westcott has never forgotten where he's come from, and
Right.
he is very entrenched in the community here still now in Maine, and he brings businesses to Maine, and he's just a remarkable story.
That is incredible to hear. So Michael, like, what was your career path on your way to your current position? Like, I'm not sure. Did you know what you wanted to do your entire life? Was it like you were in college and you discovered what you really loved? Like, how did you get to where you are now?
Well, I grew up in New Bedford, Massachusetts, and played football there at the high school. And like everybody else, I wanted to go and I wanted to be a pro athlete, but I wasn't strong enough. I wasn't fast enough. I wasn't, quick enough. It wasn't going to happen for me.
Right.
Fortunately, I had an English teacher who instilled in me the belief that I could be a good writer. Her name was Mrs. Burchell, and she just said, you can do what you're pretty talented. You can make a living out of this. And so I began as a stringer for the local newspaper, the Standard Times of New Bedford. I would cover New Bedford high school sporting events that they couldn't cover. And from there, my high school football coach, Bruce McPherson, who's passed away, told me, you got to go to Boston University because they have a great journalism program if you're serious about this. And I did. I went to BU and I graduated with a degree in journalism. And then my first job after that was at the Concord Monitor in New Hampshire, which is one of the best small papers in the country. And I was there for 2.5 years. And then I landed at the Portland Press Herald in 1982. And I have not left. I've raised
Amazing.
3 children here in Maine, and we have a wonderful life here. And the papers provided me opportunities that I would have never had anywhere else.
Incredible. So, throughout your career, what has been your favorite part of the job? It could be something tangible, intangible. What do you get the most? What gets you to stay at such a high level and work at such a high level, keep you motivated? What's your favorite part?
The people that I talk to, I'm telling their stories. I want to tell it right, and I love learning about this person, what drives them, what makes them, what do they like, and what do they like. I talk to people who know them, or people who admire them from afar, and I try to get a complete picture. I love sitting down with somebody and just however long it takes until I get a sense of what this person is like. And then it's my job to sit down and try and put that into words. And, that's not always easy. That's
Right.
probably the hardest part of the job, is to make, I want the story to be as good as the best it can be. So
Right. Awesome. So this might be a hard a question to answer, but again, intangible or tangible, what has been, in your opinion, the highlight of your career?
oh God, that's that I just you know what probably the Olympics, I would say, in terms of the coverage. I mean, I was there for 21 days, and just to see again, it was a life altering experience. But you know what, the Little League World Series was so
Mhm.
much fun down in Williamsport. That was one of my favorite things to cover. I mean, Dante Bichette with the Blue Jays, he was there. He was playing
Wow.
there. He was
Wow.
there. It was quite the experience. I went down with a friend of mine, Steve Soloway, who was our paper's columnist at the time, and we sent a photographer there as well, and we just had a blast. I mean, that place was amazing. The Super Bowls that they what they do for the media there is amazing.
Right.
It's hard to pick, but the highlight would have to be the Olympics. I mean, that is, it's funny when I told some of the people on the Patriots beat who I got some friends of mine who covered them and said I was going to Beijing. They were all, that's the one thing I would want to cover.
Right.
And when I came back, I said, listen, if you ever go to the Olympics, you're not going to sleep for the entire time there. It was extremely grueling. I mean,
Right.
you're out, every day trying to turn, a real, a great story. It was amazing. And it was funny because, you're 12 hours ahead there. So I would write my story, I would go to sleep, and then I would wake up and I'd check in with the desk to see if they had any questions on my story as it was going. So
And that must have been an adjustment too, for sure.
it was.
Yeah.
It took a lot of time to adjust. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, Michael, for people my age, because I'm 21, so maybe people who are about to graduate, like I am, or maybe a little younger in college, or maybe even people who are in the industry right now, but maybe need to get over the hump, a certain hump, or need some advice. What's some advice you could give those people that are either heading into the sports media industry or are already in it but need a little help?
Well, the first thing I'd say is be flexible, because you may not get the position you want right away, but if you prove yourself to be really proficient at what you start at or what you have, it's going to open up doors. I have a colleague. He just graduated from Boston University last year, and he's into sports. Really, he wants to be a sports writer. Well, we had an opening at one of our sister papers on the news staff, so he took it. He applied for it and he got the job and he took it, and it's opened up his eyes to a whole different set of contacts, a set of stories that he would have never covered before, and
Right.
he's getting that experience that is going to just be invaluable for his next job. So
Right.
be flexible, and make sure you listen to the people you're interviewing, because sometimes what seems like an innocent remark turns into the story.
Right.
When all of a sudden, like when I'm interviewing somebody, I know as soon as I hear the quote, I just I circle it. I make sure you record it. You write it. I'm one of the old school guys. I still write everything down,
Right.
and I know that's you make sure you listen, and make sure you pay attention to what they're trying to say and not what you're trying to say, because it's their story, not yours. It is your
Exactly.
story, but it's really their story.
Right. Right. You're telling their story for them. So like you said, in these interviews, a lot of the other award winners said something similar, like, don't be too picky about your first job, get reps in where you can,
Right.
And make the most out of the opportunity you get. But yeah, that was really incredible to hear, especially all your stories, covering the Olympics and your interviews with all of these great athletes. But those are all the questions I have for you, Michael. Thank you again for jumping on here and answering the questions for us, and congratulations for winning.
Well, thank you. Can I add one more thing?
Yes, sir.
A lot of people, a lot of my coverage now is high school sports, and of course, right now in the pandemic, we're not having a whole lot, so we're off doing other things. But if you ever wonder, question what your value is of the high school sports coverage, I got to tell you a story. Back in the early '80s, I was covering a high school football game between two small schools. And the winner was going to the playoffs, the loser was going home. And Old Orchard Beach was playing at Trape, and Old Orchard Beach scored with about a minute and a half left to take a 4-point lead. And I'm up in the tower with the guy who's filming the game. And Trape Academy gets the ball, the kickoff comes, and a bad return. They're at the 10-yard line. Well, they drive 90 yards. And they score the winning touchdown with about 5 seconds left. And the place is going crazy. And I turn to the guy at the camera, and he's crying.
Wow.
And I say, "You okay?" He goes, "That's my son, the quarterback. That's my son." That's what high school sports means. And a lot of people think, I don't want to start out covering high school sports. Well, that's where you get your roots right there. And that's what it means to a lot of people. Don't ever underestimate, what high school sports means to your coverage area.
Right. And the community and the
Right.
players and the people. It's intimate, it's important. And that's an incredible story. So thank you for that as well. Um, but yeah, Michael, again, thank you and congratulations. And if you
Well,
want to
thank you.
thank anyone before we head out, or you want to say any final words, you can do so. Do so
Well,
now.
let's not forget my family, my wife Tracy, and my children Erica, Bethany, and Alex. I missed a lot of family outings over the years because of things I was covering, but they've been behind me 100%. You can't get anywhere without that type of support. And the newspaper, my sports editor now, Don Coulter, and before that, Dan Dinsmore or Joe Grant, or all the guys who really provided me the opportunity to do what I do. Again, they're the ones who said, "All right, you're going to the Super Bowl, you're going to Beijing," and I'm entirely grateful for that.
That's amazing. Thank you, Michael. And congratulations.
Well, thank you.